First time in prison?
Yeah. Have you been inside before?
Yeah, twice.
Have you ever tried to tell anyone why you did it?
What's wrong?
Tell me your story. You got one?
Oh, yes.
Love you lot. If you loved us, you wouldn't be in jail.
They were always taking the kids.
How do I get them back?
Social services say nothing would have affected their initial decision.
I know who you killed. What do you intend to do with that information?
Depends. I'm pregnant.
What?
I'm pregnant.
What are you going to do about it?
Keep it. You know why?
So this is the playground.
Judges go easy on pregnant women.
Time is such a brilliant series. First of all, I really like the men's prison one, and this women's prison one is just even closer to me. It's quite an accomplishment. Your character is sent to prison for stealing electricity. I've never heard of that.
I think
it seems minor.
It's been explained to me that we might have a different electricity system, so that therefore it's a way of, I suppose, tampering with your meter. We have like meters here to tell you how much you owe, and in that sense, but it's relevant specifically to this because this show was written and came out in April of 2023. Oh, we shot it in April 2023, and the winter that had just been lived through was the biggest cost of living crisis in the UK, where working class families who, through no fault of their own, could not heat their homes. And so, but it is very often met with a slap on the back of the wrist style fine.
Right. Yes, you'd think.
Slight and the example that's made of her, but without going into too much technical detail of it, it's so even the prison officers are like, you don't go to prison for that. I was like, yeah, well, mitigating.
Oh my God.
So
and this
shock is just so instant.
And your character's life was profoundly changed by this prison sentence that just seemed needless. I mean, it's just incredible. And Orla, she's so beautifully defined. We see her the way she is when she comes in, a little subdued. And then we see as she changes step by step by step, and it's kind of excruciating. And then things happen to her and it's, wow. When you're in a role like that, and there's such unfairness and such sort of violence, like in the prison, and just life just barrels in at you, does it take a toll on you as a person, or do you work that out in the script?
I always say it, and only because it's very often a topic of conversation is people's process. I'm not method, but and I don't stay in character in between. I stay in an accent if I'm really struggling with the accent, but that's it. And obviously with this accent, I'd absolutely nailed it. This is my own. But does it get under your skin? Yeah. And I think it's just because I'm not very good at pretending to feel. And that probably means I'm in the best job that I could be in. And I'm always I exist in a kind of quite heightened energy anyway. So for me was quite tapped into a certain level of cortisol and flight or fight that I very often sit in anyway. But the mix of rage that she feels and the kind of slight caged lioness that is presented, I found it really easy to connect to her in so many ways, because I was so angry about her situation, but then I could easily in a moment be so angry with Orla as well, because there'd be some times where you're like, don't run straight into that bull. Don't go into the bull ring. Don't go in. But then what is fascinating about this, and what is so brilliant historically with Jimmy's writing, and also, being co-written with Helen Black, but Jimmy McGovern has been this wonderful voice of asking challenging questions and not being afraid to throw his opinion and politics into something. And I think that all the storyline really shines a light on a broken system that destroys families. Yes. And so my little one said, are you playing a goodie or a baddie? And I was like, babe, it's such a complicated question. Did I break the law? Yes. In my opinion, was I justified? Yes.
Well, she was desperately poor with 3 children.
Would she do it again? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but
Understandably.
yeah, but then in it, what is so powerful is we're intertwined with not only a 3 story, but like essentially like a 15-person story, but really beautifully marries with Kelsey's character and Abby's character, this
Yes.
twining of how we are all experiencing time. Because for me, time is that, and it's there. For Kelsey's character, because of addiction, it kind of like morphs into so many different versions of where they're at and how they're trying to progress forward. And then for Abby's character, it's about sitting out and living within something. And it's like we're all in different things. It's like I'm kind of in electricity, and Kelsey's kind of in a kind of broken glass scenario, and Abby's in lead. And
Yeah.
it's just, and that's the power of, I think, their writing. And so a lot of it is like, oh, what research? It's like, well, for my character, I don't need to, I'm given the lack of information that I had, the no knowledge, and the absolute fear and trauma. And it's there, it's written.
Did you sort of look into prison life at all? I mean, everything just so escalates inside there, like a side glance becomes a fight. Brutal, absolutely brutal. No wonder it would have an effect on any character, especially one as innocent as yours. So is that the way it is? I mean, is it like a 24/7 kind of a thing?
The thing is, obviously, it's 3 hours of drama, and I think within that you see all aspects of what prison life
Right.
does it, and I think because also what's great about the show is it doesn't cover a 3-day period, it covers months. This is, there's a moment where, can't say that because it'll be a spoiler, but I'm in maybe a different scenario and then presented with a different scenario, and so time isn't, it's linear in the sense of it's playing out like that, but it's certainly not, this happens in a 3-day stretch. Look how this is happening all the time. And actually what's good is I think it intertwines with that domestic existence where everyone's sat and they're sat on themselves. Oh, they're laughing and they're dancing and they're having moments of lightness, which would happen as well. And friendships are formed and relationships are formed, and friendships are never formed and relationships are never built because you're so polar opposite, or you just have no interest in that being built in these characters. And that's what, and then you've got this wonderful narrative of Mary Louise, played by Siobhan Finneran, who, whether you've seen season 1 or not, is the linking character to that. And I think it's wonderful that you don't need to have seen it, but if I could say anything, it's like season 1's amazing, watch season 1. See it, but it is fascinating, like you say, to have the male system and female system projected and to show it so differently, but
yes,
equally as...
and it would be, and it's not sexist to say that. There are moments as she kind of spirals, Orla's body movements become quite different. Can you describe that?
I don't know how to explain it, because a lot of it isn't, as it is conscious, but it's also
but also not.
I suppose the only way I can describe it is when I'm in slight survival mode. Like my adrenaline goes, and it's like, it was, I suppose I did animals at drama school, and it's not something I ever thought that I'd like carry on, because I was always like, oh God, such a drama school thing. But actually the way I saw Orla was like a protective dog, in that sense of you are not fearful of her unless you try and hurt something of hers. And I don't think Orla is scary, but there was something animalistic I felt that Jimmy and Helen had written within her that meant physically I felt like I wanted to play caged. And I don't know how you describe that, but that's really interesting that you picked up on it.
And on the other hand, you're the mother of the trio. You're the mother figure. You're the carer. You're the one who sits on the bed and comforts people. And so people are many things.
Yeah, you are. And I suppose also, and also within that, there are moments where I'd say Orla can be really cruel.
Yeah.
Because we are following other storylines, so we know the vulnerability of the other characters, but there's a desperation. But it's the only role you know, and when your own are taken away from you, that's the only thing you can do. And also, I've talked about this, but the relationship between her own mother is absolutely it is, you know, a therapist's dream. It's the absolute product of her upbringing.
That's one way to put it. A therapist's dream.
It's probably not very politically correct. I don't know.
Jodie, you're amazing. Thank you so very much. This is great, giving me so much material. And congratulations on your career. I've followed you since the beginning. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much.
Get out! Get out right now! Get out!
This is a prison. They won't just smack my bum over. They will cut my throat. Do you understand?
If I could grant you one wish, what would that be?
Can I go back in time, please?
The biggest concern is that she may have taken drugs after she discovered that she was pregnant.
Hey, but we all make mistakes.
You'll be okay.
You should be ashamed of yourselves!
Some of the nicest people you'll ever meet are in prison.
I promise I'll pay you back.